In the Bible, we find a fascinating account of angels appearing before God. But what does this mean, and why is it important? In the opening chapters of the book of Job, we're given a rare glimpse into the heavenly realm, where angels gather before the throne of God. It's a moment of great significance, as the sons of God come to present themselves before their Creator. Among them is Satan, the accuser, who seeks to challenge God's wisdom and justice. Job's story was a story of faith, suffering, and God's sovereignty. He was said to be a blameless and upright man who feared God and shunned evil. He was a wealthy man with a large family and a prosperous farm. His life was marked by peace, prosperity, and a deep faith in God. He was a spiritual leader, often offering sacrifices on behalf of his family.
Job chapter 1 verse 1 to 5.
There was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job, and that man was blameless and upright, and one who feared God and turned away from evil. And there were born to him 7 sons and 3 daughters. He had 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 donkeys, and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the people of the East. And when the days of the feast had run their course, Job would send and sanctify them, and he would rise early in the morning and offer burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, "It may be that my sons have sinned, and renounced God in their hearts." Thus Job did continually. Job's life was a shining example of his love and commitment to God. He was a man of strong character, and his family was a precious gift from God. Job's heart was fully devoted to serving the Lord, and he lived a life that honored God in every way. But then, without warning, disaster struck. A series of devastating events would rock Job's world, leaving him feeling shattered and confused. He would face unimaginable loss, pain, and suffering, which would challenge his faith and lead him to wonder if God was still good. In the midst of this darkness, Job would cry out to God, seeking answers to his questions and comfort for his hurting heart. He would struggle to understand why a loving God would allow such evil to befall him, a faithful servant. Job's story is a powerful reminder that even in the darkest moments, God is always present, always working for our good, and always worthy of our trust. The angels appear before God. In the spiritual realm, a dramatic scene is unfolding. The angels have come to present themselves before God. Job 1:6. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. This is a regular gathering, where the angels report to God and receive instructions. It's a time of worship, praise, and communion with the Almighty. The angels are God's messengers, sent to earth to carry out His will and minister to His people. They are mighty spirits created to serve and worship God.
Psalm 103, 20-21.
Bless the Lord, O you His angels, you mighty ones who do His word, obeying the voice of His word. Bless the Lord, all His hosts, His ministers, who do His will. In this scene they are gathered around God's throne, awaiting His instructions. Among the angels is Satan, a fallen being who has rebelled against God.
Isaiah 14:12-15.
How you have fallen from heaven, morning star, son of the dawn. You have been cast down to the earth, you who once laid low the nations. You said in your heart, I will ascend to the heavens. Above the stars of God I will set my throne on high. I will sit on the mount of assembly on the far side of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. He's not an angel himself, but a former angel who has been cast out of heaven. Yet he's still allowed to appear before God, and he has a specific agenda. God initiates a conversation with Satan, asking him where he has come from. Job 1:7. The Lord said to Satan, "From where have you come?" Satan answered the Lord and said, "From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it." Satan responds, revealing his constant roaming of the earth, seeking whom he may devour. 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. He's always on the prowl, looking for ways to destroy God's creation and undermine his plans. God directs Satan's attention to Job, a blameless and upright man who fears God and shuns evil. Job 1:8. And the Lord said to Satan, Have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man who fears God and turns away from evil? Job's life is a testament to the power of faith and obedience, and God is about to use him as an example to the spiritual realm. The angels are watching this exchange, and they know the significance of what's happening. They know that Satan is trying to undermine God's plans, and that God is about to put Job's faith to the test. They know that Job's faith is not just about receiving blessings from God, but about trusting in his sovereignty and goodness, even in the midst of trials and tribulations. The angels are also aware of the bigger picture. They know that Satan's rebellion against God is not just about Job, but about the entire human race. They know that Satan's ultimate goal is to lead humanity away from God. They know that God's plan is to redeem humanity from the clutches of Satan, and to restore them to a right relationship with himself. And so, the angels watch with great interest as the scene unfolds. They know that what's happening is not just about Job, but about the struggle between good and evil. Satan begins to speak, his voice dripping with malice and deceit. He accuses Job, a blameless and upright man, of serving God only because God has blessed him with a good life. Job 1:9-11. Then Satan answered the Lord and said, Does Job fear God for no reason? Have you not put a hedge around him and his house, and all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But stretch out your hand and touch all that he has, and he will curse you to your face. Satan implies that Job's faith is shallow, that he only follows God because it benefits him. He's accusing God of being unfair, of only blessing those who serve him. God responds, his voice firm and authoritative. He knows Satan's schemes, and he's not intimidated. God allows Satan to test Job, but he sets boundaries, limiting the extent of Satan's power. Job 1:12. And the Lord said to Satan, Behold, all that he has is in your hand. Only against him do not stretch out your hand. So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. And so Job's trials begin. Satan takes away Job's possessions, his family, and his health. Job is left with nothing, but he refuses to curse God. Job 1:20-22. Then Job arose and tore his robe and shaved his head and fell on the ground and worshipped. And he said, Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked shall I return. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Job's faith is not shaken, even in the midst of unimaginable suffering. He trusts in God's sovereignty and goodness, even when he can't understand why God is allowing these trials to occur. Job's friends come to comfort him, but they're not much help. They accuse him of sinning, of deserving God's punishment.
Job 4:7-8.
Does not calamity come to the wicked, and disaster to the workers of iniquity? I have seen those who plow iniquity and sow trouble reap the same. But Job knows he's innocent. He's done nothing to deserve this suffering. He's confused, angry, and hurt. But he refuses to give up on God. He continues to worship, to pray, and to trust in God's goodness. The story shifts back to heaven, where Satan is still accusing Job before God. God responds, his voice full of wisdom and compassion. He knows Job's heart, and he knows Satan's schemes. He's allowing Job to be tested, but he's also preparing a greater blessing for him. Job 42:10. And the Lord restored the fortunes of Job when he had prayed for his friends. And the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. God's ways are not our ways. He's not limited by our understanding or our circumstances. He's a God of redemption, of restoration, and of blessings. And He's working all things together for our good, even in the midst of trials and tribulations, Romans 8:28. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to His purpose. Angels appeared many times in the Bible. We will see 5 instances where angels were described in the Bible.
Hebrews 1:13-14.
And to which of the angels has He ever said, "Sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet"? Are they not all ministering spirits sent out to serve for the sake of those who are to inherit salvation? This passage highlights the role of angels as ministering spirits, sent to serve and protect believers. Angels are not to be worshipped or revered, but rather recognized as servants of God, carrying out His will.
Isaiah 6:1-3.
In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up. And the train of His robe filled the temple. Above Him stood the seraphim. Each had 6 wings. With 2 He covered His face, and with 2 He covered His feet, and with 2 He flew. They are constantly in God's presence, singing praises and adoring Him. This is a beautiful picture of the heavenly realm, where angels and other spiritual beings worship God without ceasing. The Bible also teaches that angels are divided into different ranks and orders. Some angels, like Michael, are archangels, holding high positions of authority. Others, like Gabriel, are messenger angels, sent to communicate God's plans and purposes. This hierarchy is important to understand, as it helps us comprehend the different roles and responsibilities of angels. Angels are also able to appear in human form, allowing them to interact with humans in a more tangible way. They are able to communicate with humans through speech and visions. This ability to interact with humans is an important aspect of their role as messengers and guardians. Furthermore, angels are often associated with specific tasks and responsibilities. For example, some angels are responsible for protecting and guiding individuals, while others are involved in the judgment of nations. Revelation 5:11, 12. Then I looked, and I heard around the throne and the living creatures, and the elders the voice of many angels, numbering myriads of myriads and thousands. Understanding these different roles and responsibilities can help us appreciate the complexity and diversity of the spiritual realm. As we've previously seen, the spiritual realm is a real and active place, full of beings and events that are beyond our human understanding. But what can we learn from this passage about the spiritual realm and our place in it? First, we see that God is sovereign over the spiritual realm. He's the one who allows Satan to test Job, and He's the one who sets the boundaries for Satan's power. Job 1:12. And the Lord said to Satan, "Behold, all that he has is in your hand. Only against him do not stretch out your hand." So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. Second, we see that angels are ministering spirits, sent to serve and protect us. Hebrews 1:14. Are they not all ministering spirits sent out to serve for the sake of those who are to inherit salvation? They're God's messengers, carrying out His will in the spiritual realm. This reminds us that we're not alone, and that God has a whole army of angels working on our behalf. Angels are powerful beings, created by God to serve Him and His people. They're not to be worshipped or feared, but rather respected and appreciated for the role they play in our lives. Third, we see that humans have a unique role in the spiritual realm. We're created in God's image, and we have the capacity to worship and serve Him. Genesis 1:26-27. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness. And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." This reminds us that our lives have purpose and meaning, and that we're called to live for God's glory. As humans, We have a responsibility to live for God and to serve Him with our lives. We're not just physical beings, but spiritual beings, created to worship and serve God in the spiritual realm. Finally, we see that the spiritual realm is a place of spiritual warfare. Satan and his demons are actively working against God and His people, seeking to destroy and deceive. 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. But God is greater, and He's given us the armor of God to stand against Satan's schemes. Ephesians 6:10-18. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of His might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. We don't have to fear Satan or his demons, because we have the armor of God to protect us. We can stand firm and live victorious lives in the spiritual realm. As we've seen in the book of Job, the angel's appearance before God is a powerful reminder of the spiritual realm's involvement in our lives. Satan's accusations and God's response reveal the depth of His sovereignty and love. Job's story teaches us that even in the midst of suffering and uncertainty, our God is always at work. Let us take comfort in knowing that our Heavenly Father is always present and always working for our good. If this video has helped you in any way, be sure to click like, comment your thoughts, and share it with your church groups. Thank you.